like I said, I've had these problems for years, and nothing helped me to get over them now until I was faced with it with nowhere to run. Do you know what, guys? Do you actually know what? I've come to the realization, despite all of the complaining that I've done during lockdown, that I actually want to stay in lockdown forever. In some terms, like I've learned so much during lockdown about myself. I know it sounds like really cheesy to say that, but like good cheesy, like Via Life cheesy. And for people that pretend they don't like Via Life, can fuck off right now. I was just sitting thinking about how much my life has changed since lockdown, and just how much I've learned about myself, how much I've forced to be, how much looking back now, even though it's not over, like it's just been a big phase of like mental growth, personal growth, not physical growth. So yeah, I just thought I'd sit down and share some of the things that I've learned in the last 3 months, invaluable lessons that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. And I'm sure that so many of you can relate. Yeah, like I know at the beginning of lockdown, I was kind of always complaining on my Instagram story, saying that like I was missing people, and I was sexually frustrated and things like that. And all of those things were and are 100% true. But at the same time, if this whole scenario, whatever you want to call it, hadn't have happened, there's no way that I would have progressed in these areas of my life. And yeah, I've decided that I'm actually very happy with a very simple life. Of course, when I say like I want to stay in lockdown forever, I don't mean like literal lockdown, like can't see anyone, like 2 meters apart. But in general, there are big aspects of the last 3 months which honestly I could live with forever. And I think the biggest thing for me is that because the world slowed down, my brain also slowed down. And for those of you that don't know, I have a very overactive mind, which I guess works in my favor a lot of the time, because I guess to be any kind of creator, you do need an active mind and a creative mind. But one thing that like I've suffered with my whole life, and I've been very open about this on camera as well, is just severe anxiety. Like when I'm talking anxiety, I don't just mean general anxiety disorder, where you like worry about things and then, you know, kind of spirals. With me, it was almost to the point of fear. Like I would just shake. And when the world slowed down, when I was forced to slow down, my mind also slowed down, which came with some negative things, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I guess the biggest blessing for me is that my anxiety has gone from 11 out of 10 to 6 out of 10. And when I say this, it's gonna sound kind of weird, but therefore I've taken more pressure off myself and I feel like less of a failure. And I know that's a bit of a big statement to make. Like I'm not saying that I am a failure, but I don't know, I'm not gonna go into it now, but if you know anything about my past, like you know that I'm just a very, all or nothing doesn't even cut it. Like it's just, I am very positive with other people all the time, but extremely critical on myself in terms of, not in terms of like, oh, I don't believe in myself, I'm not confident. No, I am confident and I do believe in myself, and I do believe that whatever I do, I'm gonna do it well. But it's just, I have the kind of mind that no matter what I do, no matter what I create, no matter whatever, no matter how many truth bombs and tapes I deliver, there's always a part of my mind, there was always a part of my mind that was always telling me it's not good enough, you're not doing enough, you're being too lazy. So I guess this is my first point. Even though a lot of the things in my life that are very, very important to me, and to be honest, I can't live without long term, like friends, relationships, family, my little Aslan, like all of these things were completely removed for the last few months. And yeah, I struggled, but at the same time, it was a huge blessing, because as the world slowed down, my brain slowed down. And for me, that was good. For me, that was needed, right? For me, I'm always on high alert. I always feel like I'm being chased by a lion. In fact, it's ironic because I've had this reoccurring dream my whole life, which I know is very significant, that I've always been chased by a lion in my dreams. Thousands of times. Probably, by the way, this is not a tat, I just regularly Sharpie myself when I get bored. It was almost like I felt like I could breathe and I could take the brakes off a little bit. And I know you're probably thinking like, what the fuck, Miles, you only post 1 video a week, like what the hell are you doing? Like, no, I do have a very busy, fast-paced life. And I think another one of my points is that, and I know a lot of you will be able to relate, that when we have trauma in our past, whether it's when you're young, in your teens, like whatever, we run away from it. And I think there were still a lot of things that I was constantly running away from, and I was afraid of, and I was petrified to face. Like, if I wasn't filming, I'd be editing. If I wasn't doing one of those things, I'd be jumping on the train to go and see Anna, to go and have dinner and get high and all of that kind of stuff. If I wasn't doing that, I'd be with my family. If I wasn't doing that, I'd be taking Aslan out. If I wasn't doing that, I'd be doing something or someone. I'm the kind of person that is so fast-paced, I can be in London and Paris at the same time. And mentally, you all know I'm always on Mars. So I guess this is my second point, is that through this, even though it was a struggle not to see people I love, and not to have physical connection with people, like I've talked about this in a lot of videos before, but physical touch for me is a big thing. And I don't just mean in a romantic way, I mean in any kind of way. Like my friends, my family, I kiss and cuddle all of them. It's a big thing for me, and I feel like it's a very healing thing. There are actually studies on this, you know, like the nations, the countries that have show the most love and affection and have that sense of community are often the most happy people as well. Yeah, this is the first time in a very long time when I've been forced to sit with my feelings and not run away from them, is what I'm trying to say. And of course, at the beginning, that was extremely difficult, and I was finding all different kinds of things to do to distract myself. Like, yeah, I've got my spin bike, I can go for like walks in the fields, listening to music all day, but you know, there's only so much and so many hours of the day when you can distract yourself with, you know, with things. And the thing is, I've said before as well, like, I thrive as an introvert. I don't know, I guess I'm an introverted extrovert, if that's actually a thing. I think that is a thing. We're gonna go with it. But yeah, working wise, like working environment, I do thrive on my own. In fact, like I've said before, I have to be on my own when I edit and when I film. I can't have distraction. But I realized I was good at being an introvert, knowing that I could see my friends in the evening or do something in the evening to distract myself. So what hit me really hard at the beginning was I was left with just hours every single evening with nothing but me, like me, myself and I, you know, that kind of thing. And because of that, the blessing was that I couldn't keep running away from all of the things that I'm, I guess, afraid of in life. You know, I realized that I still have a lot of things that I haven't dealt with well at all. I realized I had very, very bad issues with attachment and commitment issues with people as well. I'm the kind of person that is very mature, and I think you guys know this anyway, but I have said that, like, I've had my heart broken so many times in life. I don't just mean in relationships, I mean with just people that I've loved throughout my life, people that have been like family to me, people that I've wholeheartedly just opened my heart up to, and then essentially been dropped by, because of course in the past I was treated as a commodity, especially when I was in sport. And when I love people, the more I love someone, the closer they get to me, I push them away, because I'm so afraid of that pattern repeating itself and losing something that I love so dearly, right? I don't know. During lockdown, I think one of the things that I was faced with was, okay, like, I can keep living with this fear forever and keep living the way that I am, or I can let my guards down, break that scaffolding, come out of that prison. Like I always say, so many people just stay in their prison because at least you know where the walls are, it feels safe. I realize, you know, like I do have an amazing life. I get to travel, I have the most incredible friends in the world, like I get to create content, which is what I absolutely love. I have an amazing family, all that kind of stuff. I'm blessed to live in a nice area where there's like nature and I can walk, but there was a huge part missing, which I had blocked off because I was so petrified of going there again. It was tough, and this didn't happen overnight, but I was very aware that I had my guards up strong over the last 6 months, actually probably over the last year. There is someone very special in my life that I was resisting like crazy. I don't know, I got to that point where it's just like, okay, you can either keep living like this, or you can take the risk, take the leap, take the plunge, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it became very apparent to me that I have been resisting someone very special in my life for a very long time. And as soon as I let my guards down, it was probably the best decision I've ever made in my life, or at least I've made in the last few years. Like, I'm not going to go into detail about that now, but I will in future videos. But I guess the main point from that I want to get across to you guys is that like alone time and being alone with your own thoughts and facing your fears head on really is the only way to get over things. Whether it's like, again, the issues that I have with attachment and commitment to people, whether it's social anxiety, whatever these things are. Like, I mean, in my opinion, you can see all the therapists in the world talk to all your friends about it all the time, but unless you sit there and face it and really realize what you're running away from and where it's coming from, like I said, I've had these problems for years, and nothing helped me to get over them now until I was faced with it with nowhere to run. Like, yeah, I could have gone for a third walk of the day, but even then, it's just my own voice in my head, even if I'm listening to music. So what I'm saying is, even though I found it very difficult, especially at the beginning, well, to this day actually, to not be around the people that I love, if it wasn't for this time during lockdown where everything slowed down and I was isolated, I wouldn't have faced all of these issues, all of these problems, all of these hurdles. There are so many distractions in life, and yeah, there are so many beautiful distractions in life. Like, I love nothing more than seeing my friends every evening or jumping on the train to London. But until you slow down and really face your demons like head on by yourself, it's the only way to get over them. Like, for me, it has been anyway. So yeah, I was definitely resisting someone very special for very long. You could say I was resisting love. And I don't really know how to talk about this right now. So the thing is, there has been someone very special in my life for the last year, but because of my issues, I was constantly pushing them away. What I did to deserve someone that was so patiently understanding of my crazy mind, I don't know. One thing I've always said as well is that people with simple lives are always the happiest. And don't get me wrong, like, I love to travel. Like, I've traveled the whole world when I was younger, and last year I was traveling a lot. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm someone that gets a rush from, you know, different places and doing crazy things and new experiences all the time, and this place, that place, whatever, constantly on the go, constantly with people, constantly having fun, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I have also learned about myself that even though I love like riding like the fast pace of life and those rushes that I get, I am very happy with a simple life. I'm very happy with a simple life. Like, this whole experience has made me appreciate, again, this is going to sound very cheesy, but it's made me appreciate me more. It's made me realize that actually, even if I took all of those things away in my life, like traveling, as long as I have the people around me that I love, and I'm able to communicate with them, and I'm able to see them and hug them, then I am very content with a simple life. And I've always said that the people, like, I think I don't know which video it was, I said a long time ago, that like, take like tribal people in Africa that literally live, and this is not, I'm not saying this in a degrading way, I'm saying I want to be one of them, right? I probably wouldn't fit in, because just using it as an example, people that live in Africa in huts, they have a sense of community, and their life is very simple, and they don't have all of these, you know, these anxieties and worries that come with the fast pace of life in 2020. People that live simple lives, they're happy, they're content with what they've got. This whole experience has lifted the veil, has lifted all of the distraction, and because that's been removed, I appreciate every single thing more. I appreciate nature more, I appreciate my friends more, because of course I haven't got to see them, and it just makes me love them even more. I appreciate my own time more, and I think one thing that has shocked me is that I have allowed myself to have days where I don't do anything. Before, I would never ever allow myself to have a day where I don't work on something, right? Whether it's a video, whether I'm filming, whether I'm editing for someone else, whether I'm doing something for Vivo Life or Liquid Gold or whatever, I would never allow myself to just do nothing. But during this time, because I've had so much time just by myself, and I've been forced to have days where I actually have got everything done that I need to do, there's no one I can possibly see in the world, so I can only use that time for personal growth. Whether it's listening to like an audio, I was going to say listening to an audiobook. I've never listened to an audiobook in my life. Just trying to give you guys tips. Those 2-hour-long walks that I was taking with nothing to distract me apart from, yes, my music, 90s music, as always. I was left alone with my mind so much. It's like there's only so much you can do when you have all the time in the world and nothing else to worry about from the outside world. I kind of allowed myself to just fall into those days where I feel like it, where I will just watch something on Netflix and just sit in the sun and not put too much pressure on myself for not having like achieved something to show that I had like achieved or completed by the end of the day. Before lockdown, I would never let myself have days like that, and if I did, I would beat myself up for it very badly. But because everything slowed down, my mind slowed down, and I just feel a lot more calm and have allowed myself to have those days where it's just like, yeah, where it's just like rest and recuperation. I think that's the right word. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I've gone from like being batshit crazy to being normal now. Like, I'll probably never be normal, and I still have my days where I have meltdowns that I like haven't achieved enough. Yeah, just yesterday, I was on the phone to Helena for like 2 hours, feeling like trash, saying that I hadn't got anything done, was feeling like a lazy bum, was beating myself up. So I still have those days, but I've made improvements, and whether I'm like there or not yet, wherever there is, like the end goal, at least I'm on that journey now, and I'm only on that journey due to lockdown. So yeah. And another thing as well that became very evident, is evident the right word? Why am I so bad with words? Like I am dyslexic. But I'm also over 30 now, and I should be able to speak, but clearly not. Another thing I realised as well is that I give so much of my time and energy to people that don't deserve it. And this might sound quite harsh, and the people that I'm talking about are probably watching this, and you know who you are. You shouldn't depress me like you did. I think through this time of just gaining more personal respect, like for myself, yeah, I realised that I give way too much of my energy to people that don't deserve it. It's like, if I love people, I'm always gonna love them. I'm always gonna show them unconditional love. But the amount of energy that I was putting into certain relationships and certain people that really tested me on a daily basis and gave me so much anxiety, yeah, I've pulled back. I've pulled out. I really want to spend more time nourishing the relationships in my life where we bounce off each other, and you know, we share everything, we're always there for each other. I did have a lot of relationships where it's just like I was the backbone, and they were constantly pressing me, either that or they were playing mind games with me. And yeah, it was great to just like take a step back and be like, whoa. And I guess this is a form, I've talked about self-love on this channel quite a bit, and the fact that I struggle with it, have struggled with it, getting a lot better with it. One thing I want to mention as well, and I guess this is a point for anyone else that like creates for a living, or actually not even that, just anyone that needs extra motivation, because I know a lot of people have struggled with motivation during lockdown. I'm always getting questions of how do I stay motivated to exercise, to work, especially when like I'm my own boss, and I could have essentially just done nothing for like 8 weeks. No, not 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Don't even know how many weeks. I've talked about the benefits of like life slowing down and my brain slowing down. I think a negative that came with that on the flip side was that as a creative, you know, that's my job. Because my brain slowed down, I felt like my creative mind kind of got blocked. There was kind of a little bit of blockage there. Anyone else that creates in any other type of form, whether that's writing, poetry, music, art, fashion, editing, whatever your form of creation is, you will understand that like we get our inspiration and our buzz from things that touch us in life, right? Like I would always get all of my creative energy, all my ideas for videos from like an experience with friends, or just different places, different people, you know, like different situations. Always getting different creative ideas because there's so much going on in life, and it's all kind of bouncing, you know, ideas bouncing in and out of my head. And I know I'm a creative that probably finds inspiration in the weirdest places, but this is gonna sound weird, but like I have done art my whole life. I know I never show it, but everyone's always like, why are you always taking pictures with graffiti? The answer for that is because it makes me feel something, right? When I can't walk past a wall of graffiti without getting some kind of emotion. Like when they sprayed that, was it out of joy? Was it out of anger? Were they making a statement? Was it out of fear? Was it out of sadness? And I just feel things when I even walk past like walls of graffiti. I know a lot of other creators, and I've spoken to them about this, have said the exact same thing, that during this time, because life has slowed down, your creative mind slows down as well. So I took it upon myself to do things to stimulate. I don't know what all of this is. I'm just like the first 3 weeks I was really thriving in my like introverted mind. I think it got to like the 4th or 5th week and I was really struggling to have my normal creative energy. And I think it's just because of a lack of emotion in life. A lack of stimulation in life from other people, from other places, from other visuals, right? So what I did is I know this sounds weird, but I would take if I have some footage, I will have some footage, I'll insert it over the top. During my walks, I would purposely go visit places that made me feel something really strongly. So whether that be a graveyard, again, I know that sounds a bit morbid, but no one can deny when you walk through a graveyard or even near one, you are hit with some kind of emotion that makes you feel. And as a creator, you have to feel and feel deep to kind of like, there's a rundown tire factory near me, which is like graffitied from top to bottom, and I'm pretty sure a lot of homeless people sleep there. It looks like the kind of place where people go to take heroin. I walk through it just to feel emotion, and I visited that place, this specific place I'm telling you about, probably about 15 times during lockdown, whenever I felt like my mind was slowing down, just to walk through a place that has so much history and emotion and visuals attached to it, that I would walk there, feel so much, and then come back and then feel like my mind was working again. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm not making sense anymore, but I hope I am. So yeah, I can honestly say that this time has been a struggle for me at the beginning, but like such a blessing in disguise. Another thing that I was afraid of as well, which I guess I conquered, was like, you know, I am an addict. I guess I could say I'm a recovered addict, but they do say once an addict, always an addict, and I agree with that to a big extent actually. And I think one of my biggest fears at the beginning of lockdown was, oh my god, like all this time alone, I spend my life running away from my feelings, like this is a recipe for relapse. But it wasn't. Like, I can honestly say for the first time I faced all of those feelings and like head on and didn't feel the need to run away from them. But at the same time, I think it's because in general my anxiety had been lowered because of the slower pace of the world, which allowed me to access things that I needed to work on without panicking and wanting to run away from them. You know, even little things like I was even thinking of growing my own tomatoes. Who would have thought? I feel like this whole period has just been a big process of bringing it back to basics, you know? I hope that you guys have also used this, or you can look back at this, even though we're still in it currently as I'm filming this, and come away with things that you have, you know, improved on, and you can see self-development rather than just, oh, you know, I miss people, you know, I've lost my normal human interaction. It's times like this when we grow the most, we learn the most, and stuff like that. I want you all to let me know in the comments down below what you've learned during this time and what lessons it's taught you, yeah, and things that you've worked on, because looking forward, we're probably not going to get a time like this again, when we have so much spare time to think, to reminisce, to grow, to cry, to get high. And I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you on the next video. Laters.